I'm gonna.
And now, welcome. It's time for Friday Night Marketing. We're gonna rock. We're gonna roll. Get real and bold. Come on, join the show now. It's about to unfold. Get raw, get real, get results now. We're the latest feel, making waves loud. On this stage, we ignite. Every Friday night, brand new fight. Get real, get results now. We're the latest feel, making waves loud. On this stage, we ignite. Every Friday night, brand new fight. In the spotlight, feel the fever. Every pitch and quest. Dreams are big, get bigger tonight. Push the limits, reach new heights. So grab your seat, don't blink an eye. 'Cause Friday night we'll touch the sky. And now, welcome. It's time for Friday Night Marketing Raw.
Boom! Shakalaka! Hello, YouTube. It's Friday Night Marketing Raw, where anything can happen. I've just cracked open a can of C4. We're not sponsored. It's an energy drink. I'm getting caffeined up and ready to talk smack about marketing. How are you, Dan?
I'm all right. Another week in the bag. Can't believe that we're already at the end of March. This year has just flown by.
It is crazy, isn't it? There goes a quarter of the year.
And what have we achieved? Not what we set out to in the first 3 months, I'm sure.
I've got, yeah. I mean, I would say I've got a lot of the stuff I intended to do got done and got released. A lot of stuff I didn't intend to do also made its way out. And then there is some stuff that had to get moved to the shit pile. Because that's just life. Sometimes mid-product development, you go, this hasn't got the right value. This isn't the right thing. This is already getting superseded because fucking AI have just launched something new. And so what I've just, fuck that. Right, okay.
I've had a couple of those projects, and it's kind of heartbreaking, but you have to. And I think the more you do it, the more you learn when it's time to cut your losses, right? It's like you don't want to just throw in on a project that's kind of moving and you feel like it's coming together. But as particularly, I mean, you do more AI stuff than I do, but yeah, if the technology is moving on, it's no longer relevant, and you've still not yet got it to market.
Yeah, I mean, my approach. Hey, I've often written about, as people will know, evergreen marketing. I like sub products to be as evergreen as possible. So, like, I was doing a thing. I've got a series. Right, here's a little story for you. I started a series back in 4 months ago, which was going to be, I'm going to put one of these out every month. And I realized this week that I've put out exactly one of a series. So I was like, okay. So I went, right, let's put together the second one and get it out. So I start doing that. And I'm looking at the content thinking, right, what we need to do here is strip out any mention of a specific platform. So I get, it's all about traffic, this one. I get to talk about social media marketing, but I get to do it in a non-platform specific way, because the truth of the matter is the way these all work hasn't changed since they appeared. Some of them have got deeper, some of them have got more complicated, but at its heart, there's no, a course on Facebook, that's a whole dedicated fucking course. I'm not interested in teaching it. If you want Facebook to be your thing, then learn to use it.
Yeah.
So I talk in terms of, but what I do is break down the sense in the model of any niche thing that you're choosing to work in. If you are a solo entrepreneur, you want to be on 2 social platforms at most, because you can't keep up with more than that. Now, if you want to automate it, then it puts your content also here, there, and everywhere. Fine. But that doesn't really count. It's because you will find that the real engagement is coming from where you are. That's been my experience of doing that. So,
yeah. And you've got to think as well. I mean,
marketing niche, I very much use Facebook, but I don't do paid ads on Facebook. I use that as a social thing. That paid ads are ridiculous. So I do the paid ads elsewhere. And you do maybe content for YouTube, because if you're only doing 2, I've got Medium as my blog post, but that's content marketing. That's not social. So as far as social platforms go, you only want to go. So I get to talk about that, and then how to decide which are the right ones for your market. But that is evergreen information.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I always see it, and it's like, it makes me laugh sometimes. And I guess, probably lots of buyers we've got on our list that'll want to get the newest tool for TikTok. They want to get the newest tool for Instagram, the newest tool for, wherever. And actually, they when it comes to it, you can't even keep up with the content on all of the platforms.
Yeah.
Honestly, right now, I don't really use any of them, to be honest with you. Any social media stuff. I mean, YouTube, I guess, if you want to call, that, we put some stuff on there.
It's considered a social platform. So, yeah. But, I mean, even if you're using it predominantly only for video hosting, then I guess it isn't. But, because it is how you use it, isn't it? But,
yeah. And I mean, we just had one. I had one, I think, last night or something. Was it yesterday? Steve messaged me. I think it was yesterday. And there was just a video that I put out. I did a little interview with Steve about his book in a day product that went out on YouTube. Someone saw it a few weeks later, as they do, picked it up through me, right? So those things are good to just have out there, because those are the kind of the surprise affiliate sales. If you're on a promo, you're expecting to do whatever you're expecting to do, and you're working one thing, and then it'll just be a surprise thing. You think, the hell did they pick up that from? Because I haven't emailed it for weeks or sometimes months. Where did they pick that up from? It's just a little video. So that's all I really do. But the rest of it, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, God help me.
It is just a distraction.
It is. And I don't even use it on my computer really now. I actually download the Messenger. I have a Messenger app, because I use Messenger, for JVs and for, communicating with friends and that. But I find that if I open Facebook, it's 30 minutes gone, guaranteed. At least. scroll, usual bullshit. Now what?
See, I'm really very rigid with myself on Facebook and stuff like that. So I will go, right, okay, I'm going to load Facebook up. I'm going to go check this group, and I'm going to do that and post that, and then I'm off it. Because otherwise I can doom scroll. And don't get me wrong, I do occasionally treat myself. In the evening, I'll go, right, I'm going to flip my phone open. I'm not in work hours now. I'm just going to have a flick through shit and see what's going on. But I don't make that a part of my work day. I use Facebook for work during those hours, and that is it. And then I fuck it off. It's gone, and I'm on to the next thing.
Yeah, I have to do the same because I fall into this trap. And sometimes one of the things that I'm trying at the minute is that I'm trying to get my... Hey, Steve. Sorry, just completely turned up. Hello. I was just saying I was... At the minute, what I'm really trying to do is block out my day as structured as possible. Right now, obviously, I have some calls that we do for some of our stuff and whatever, and so they block out kind of the first slots. And then when I look at my day and I go, right, I'm working from this to this, I've got all of these. Rather than me just going, right, well, I'll make a start on this, I block out my time. And I've noticed since I'm forcing myself to focus on one thing for 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it needs to be, I get a lot more done.
Yep.
Because it's like, I got 150 things to do, and if you don't work out what you're going to do, you spend the first 20 minutes thinking, "What should I tackle first?"
Yeah. Pick one. I tend to do. I sort of do rough to-do lists as I go during the day. So if I'm working on something and something else comes in my head, which happens a lot, I'm very ADHD head. Then I go, okay, that does need to be done. Scribble it down, get this thing done first. Boom. Then I can get my list back and I can go, okay, now where should that thing go? Is that top priority or and I can put it where it's meant to be, and I work down my list, and when I get the end of the day, I stop, and whatever's left on that list for today is the first things on tomorrow's list. It's the most simple time management thing I was ever shown, and it works for me. But it's like, whatever works for you, do it. Some people are into that Pomodoro thing. I tried that. I didn't find any benefit in it. Some people are into what, but the truth of the matter is there's no right or wrong. We're all wired very differently. So find the thing that works for you and works for your brain. And, and a lot of it comes down to getting honest with yourself. A lot of people fail to do that. Because we all like to think we're brilliant at everything. We all like to think this. We all like to, and the truth of the matter is no one's brilliant at everything,
But I also think it's just less
honest and play to your strengths, and your weaknesses you outsource, and that's when you start to see a bit more success, I think.
You just need to put less things on there. If I sit and think of all the things I got to do, and my to-do list becomes 300 bloody things to do, you don't get anything done, right? So I really try and just focus on little things, and then obviously distractions will happen during the day, right? I don't know if you guys have read the book from Laura Castleman's book. Mainly geared towards women marketers and well, not even marketers, business leaders, really, women business leaders more than anything. Free kind of download or whatever with it is a daily planner thing. And the one thing that I stole kind of off that was that she has a thing at the top and she's like, my 3 non-negotiables have to get it done today. What are they? And so that's what I kind of, okay, so today, and I make a promise, I have to do this. And nothing that's too complicated. That's not like I need to finish a course from start to finish. It's unreasonable. Never going to happen, right? But it might be video 2, filmed and whatever, right? Or this, or whatever. And that's really helped to keep me accountable, But
I guess my to-do list thing, the top 3 are things that I'm really my must get done today. And then the other things are things that need to get done, but not necessarily today. But eventually they're going to get to the top of the list, because if they're finally the only things left, they become the next things tomorrow, except in the case of absolute emergency when you plug. So you can't evade it forever, because it's always going to, even if something, so if I have this thought, oh shit, I haven't done that, scribble it might be the 23rd thing on my list. I don't care, just leave it there. because then I can stay on what I'm on. So
I always do the thing I hate the most first in the morning. When I get into the office, I look at it and
a
go,
good way as well. I've heard. I don't do that.
absolutely do not want, and it's usually filming a video, just typically the way it films. You know, for me, it's usually doing that. But I just look at the list and I go, right, what do I really not want to do today? Let's do that first, because actually, as the day goes on, you feel a bit more lethargic and whatever. The task.
See, I can't do that, because if I did that, I'd never do any work. I would put
You
it
have to
off
work
and put
yourself
it
up
off
for
and
it.
put it. I've got to be in the right frame. I mean, a lot of what I do is creative in some way. You've got to be in the right frame of mind to be able to have that play. And John Cleese wrote a book on creativity, and he basically says that creativity is playing, and you have to allow yourself that space to be able to do it.
Yeah.
So if you're not in the right headspace, you just can't produce the thing that you want to produce. Which means that I end up doing things like recording videos first thing, because it's something it's a kind of an autopilot thing for me. I'm not thinking about it. I've got the text. I can just sit in front of a camera and then do it. But sometimes those take a whole day to do, because sometimes they do, you know. But if I'd started out by going, right, I've got to do this thing, that's the most important thing. Otherwise, I'd never get up. I just wouldn't even get out of bed.
It's funny, isn't it?
Having said that, I have done my tax return this week, which is, I think, the earliest I've ever done a tax return. What was it? A week before the actual tax year ran out.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
But purely because I needed to know if I needed to spend any money between now and the 5th of April.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like
All
something.
the joys of having your own business.
But again, it also comes down to just having an honest understanding of yourself. You know that doing what Dan does wouldn't work for you, so you don't do it. It's common. That's what we're saying. There is no one size fits all. There's just a bunch of suggestions that you can try and see what works for you. One of them will, and if it doesn't,
I think the thing is, you have to get to a point where you're systematizing your business. But that system can be anything. Anything that you choose to be part of your system is fine, as long as it works for you and you're actually getting stuff done.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and do you know what? I just had a conversation about this kind of stuff not that long ago about a couple of guys who Rich and I are working with at the minute. And we're talking about, you know, their offer and what we're doing in terms of what we're selling on the high ticket stuff, and saying at the minute we're kind of going, we've got this situation where on one hand we've got broke people applying for the offer. It's B2B, but broke businesses, people just starting out. And then on the other end, we've got some massive big corporate clients that are a pain in the arse, right? Because you gotta wait for Janine from accounts to get approval from the board to give approval.
They're awful. I hate working for corporate
it's horrendous,
clients.
Right?
It's just
they're
terrible.
We want to be in this space in the middle, where it's like owner operator, small medium businesses, which is what, you know, most of us kind of do, is just by far the easiest place. And it's interesting to see some of these businesses, how, you know, some of them run certain ways and others of them run a different way. And it is like you say, it's very much that they've just found a system and then they've been able to grow that system, and all the employees have just kind of had to go, okay, so this is how we do things, and, you know, sort of fit in.
Yeah.
It's quite a fun activity, really. But yeah.
But then a business gets too big and they suddenly have an HR department, and then it's not necessarily the kind of the doers who are dictating the processes that they need. You know, things are taken on a different path, and that suddenly means that actually all of this work that you've done in building up a business suddenly goes to pot, and you've got to build other processes and things in place,
wasn't it? Russell Brunson was like, I don't want to be a CEO. It's all legal stuff. It's all this sort of stuff. I want to be the creative guy. I want to create the funnels that I did to get the business to here. So hire a CEO, right? That's absolutely quite a normal, you know, sort of trajectory, isn't it? And so that's, I think, the secret is that, You know, and I'm trying to do that now. I'm trying to like document as much stuff that we do as possible, because my aim is to find somebody who can do all of the shit that I don't like doing but have to do.
Kaboom!
Yes.
I can do what I want to do. You know, we've got enough money to be like, right, here's
And
your
that's
salary.
freedom. That's
All
the
of this
real freedom.
crap that I hate. I'll do the stuff in the business that I really love, because there is stuff I love, but you handle all of this stuff that is the stuff that wears me down. And that's that's where I'm trying to get us to. And that, to me, that will be the result. More than monetary, more than me saying that, you know, we're making X amount or doing this. To me, that result is somebody else is dealing with all the crap, and I can just focus on the good stuff, and we're still making good money, right?
Yeah. And that really is that's what's become my kind of most important thing now. I used to measure my success on the monetary return, and I've stopped doing that. It's what do we all really want? We want to be fucking happy. Now, we can't all be happy.
I think it's comfort, isn't it? As long as you feel comfortable, that's it.
And so I've really got to this point now where I'm like, I have way more than I want, way more than I need. I can help, you know, I can continue helping people and doing what I'm doing. And then I get to go off and do other stuff, which is completely outside anything like this and is nothing to do with making money whatsoever. It is just purely about helping people. And I get to do that, which I love to do. My life is get up and do shit I love doing every day now, which is what it turns out I really wanted all the time.
Yeah.
And that's yeah. Hey, we got to answer a very important question, and no, it's not the one you thought it was. What's this all about?
Well, I was asked to do so. Okay, so in 1986, I think it was, there was an episode of a story of Doctor Who called Delta and the Bannermen, and it starts off with the Doctor interfering with a galactic tour that was called Nostalgia Tours, and somebody has gone and made a podcast with that name, and I'm on the latest episode of it. Talking about Doctor Who, which is a lot of fun. And so I sort of knocked this up in a couple of hours and sort of gave it to them to say, look, when you do our episode, you can use that to help promote it, which is what they've done.
Looks great, mate. Looks really
Does look good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm actually really pleased with that one, because it had something about it that just kind of works. That sometimes you do and they don't look quite right.
When I saw that come up the first time, before I read anything and just saw it, and I looked at that, I was just like, oh, wow, this is that. I don't know. I'm not that into Doctor Who. I sort of started and stopped but I remember that Doctor. And I was like, oh, wow, that's the nostalgia. And I thought it was my first thought was it was an actual
poster
produced by the BBC or whoever owns Doctor Who now. I
can say quite confidently, not just for me, but for a lot of the people who are online and do Doctor Who art like that, the BBC don't make as good a posters as we do.
No, it's really
genuinely.
It was about 3 children short of a BBC poster, wasn't it?
But that was the whole premise of that episode, is that we were talking about season 27. Season 27 doesn't exist because they cancelled it during season 26. But the writers who were around said, oh, well, this is what we were going to do. And then subsequently Big Finish, which makes audio plays of Doctor Who, produced the stories of what they were going to do. And so we talked about that for an hour and a half. And it was interesting enough, but yeah.
And what do you
that's the sort of thing you get to do.
Is it all done in Illustrator? Or is it AI?
It's all done in Photoshop. No, they don't use any AI on those bits. Because the fun of it for me is to open up Photoshop and play around with it for several hours. The only thing I will do with AI, I'll upscale images, because some of the pictures that you're using are like 40, 50, 60 years old. And so upscale, denoise, and sometimes sharpen, but I don't sharpen very often. And so I'll use those processes and nothing else. But it's basically you take the pictures that are available from each doctor or companion or whatever, cut them out, make sure that they blend into the image the right way, and then sort of build the whole thing up. But I've done some things, like I did a Terry Pratchett thing last year, which was purely from scratch, where I had to find people who were in the right costumes, faces, and the people in the costume were different from the faces that were in the final thing as well. I had to cut people's arms out and move them around so they were in the right poses and all sorts of things. I had to create a dragon, which wasn't easy to do. But yeah, it's all sort of Photoshop. It's all what they call photo bashing, taking an image and manipulating it so that it's the right shape and things like that. But I'm really enjoying doing it. And that and the 3D stuff I've been doing has been the most fun things to do. And those get a good reaction on, Twitter and Instagram and stuff when you post them, because there's always a sort of dearth of Doctor Who content, even though a lot of people are producing stuff like that. So yeah, it's been a good way of getting my name out there.
Yeah.
Do you ever get any like projects that come in from it? Like people say, "Hey, can you just whip us up a?"
The London After Midnight stuff that I did last year was off the back. I mean, I know the guys who made London After Midnight. London After Midnight's an audio drama based on the film London After Midnight, which is no longer existing. But yeah, all of that stuff was based off the fact that I'd done these things, and I had a chat with a friend of mine who was producing it, and I'd said, "Could you do something for us?" And so that's how those things came about. So, yeah.
Have any of you had a play with the new ChatGPT image?
Yes.
What's your thoughts?
Like it. I mean,
It's good.
It's a lot better. You get what you want on pretty much the first iteration more often. It's nice that the text is pretty good. It does still
95%, isn't it now? Really?
Yeah. Now, when we first played with it, Kurt and I were hammering it and going, "This is amazing," because we couldn't get it to make a mistake. But of course, the more I use it, yes, we have had some mistakes, and we predicted that would happen.
Flux was like that for me as well. The first time I tried that, I just couldn't get it to make mistakes, and then all of a sudden, suddenly it does. And
what it does understand very well.
That's what we should be expecting now from AI, generative AI.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's getting closer and closer and better, and that will continue to happen. And as always. But I mean, it makes me laugh. I guarantee somebody will put out a product in the IM reader in the next week or so, some magic secret way of doing it. And it'll be just like some shitty prompt they came up with that if anyone sat in ChatGPT for more than 10 minutes on their own, they'd have worked out. Because we're getting to the point now where one of my acid tests for any AI is to go and ask it to do shit with as little instruction as possible and see how it interprets. And early AI was terrible, and the more specific you get, the better. The latest Gemini, Kurt was playing around with it, did make me a snake game, which is one of the tests I've used, that and a couple of other things for AI all the way along. And I watched it do it, and I was like, hang on a minute, I've never seen one build the snake game first time with all those features and it work and not have bugs and not have this. Could it be improved? Still, yeah, of course it could. But I know normally that it would be probably several chat iterations before I got anything close to that.
Yeah.
And Gemini's hitting it first time now. And so you can see how these things are advancing and coming on. And it's just doing the dance with these things and learning what the limitations are and then not being afraid of keep trying.
Well, this is what has to happen, right? It has to be so that the average person can say in layman's terms roughly what they want, and the AI knows enough about it so that, because it happened, when I started doing it as well, I was like, I put stuff in, I was like, that's not what I wanted. Or that's not, and it's because I needed to learn how to prompt it, right? So the first person coming in, I needed to learn how to speak to it, how to explain my ideas. Whereas once we bridge that gap to just someone going in, create us this, then AI becomes completely game-changing for everybody.
We're still not quite there, but with every iteration, and it's not just GPT and Google, and Sonnet 3.7 isn't old. Let's face it. So it's not just the big three that have released stuff. Quinn's released stuff. Tents have released stuff this last week. DeepSeek's got R3. I can't remember what the numbers are, but the new R3 version model. And R3, whatever it is seems to be coding almost as well as 3.7 Sonnet. And some people say better, because what people are experiencing with 3.7 is that it's suddenly starting to get worse at coding.
Yes.
It's suddenly starting to go, no, I'm going to make this change over here in a completely random way. It daydreams, I suppose. And so you'll give it code that was already 90% working, and instead of fixing the one bit that isn't, it will go and rewrite the whole thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes adding in or taking away stuff that you don't.
That's not asking you to do. I'm asking you to, go to a coder and go, can you fix one bug? And the coder goes, no, I'll start from scratch and rewrite it.
Yeah, exactly.
You break something that's now more broken as a result. But that one thing's working. The rest of it is shot.
Yes.
But,
yeah.
It's just like working with humans on a higher level. Just like, but sometimes also on it, you've got to talk to it in caveman talk sometimes.
Yes.
Do not put text. No text. Do not put any fucking text on this thing. Right. Thank you.
I think the future for people like me who are writing prompts for AI that I'm giving to other people and I want to use, the future for that is more complex processes that AI still can't handle, but with a little bit of a push and a pull, then it will. But then that's, I suppose, what the good prompt engineers have been doing since day one.
And the advantage of having an AI that responds to certain prompts in certain ways, in other words, it does what you want every time. And that's where I think some of the Quinn models really gain some traction.
That's
because
true,
they're very good at coding. The Quinn coder is fucking amazing. But again...
And it's really small for what it is as well. The Mistral small one as well has just taken a massive step forward.
But you've got to be very specific about what you want with it.
Yeah.
Provided you give those specifics in your prompt, you will consistently get good results.
Yes.
I found, for example, I love Valtown as a thing, but because that relies on Claude Sonnet, and they are putting other things in, but we've noticed the same thing, and they've had to do a lot of combative stuff with their prompt and other things, and they're staying ahead of it, but that's the nightmare they're having. So that's why they're looking at other models and things. But
and it's interesting you should mention that I haven't used it a lot, but I've been trying out the new Copilot Spark, GitHub Spark this week. It's not ready for production yet, but boy, is it good. A single line, a single thing, and it's generating a proper, I suppose you call it a widget that you could put into a page. The only problem with it at the moment is that it's using proprietary interface elements which you can't download, so you're kind of stuck in that ecosystem. And I've got a feeling that that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be something that is for people who want to, like Valtown is for some people who actually want to do this and stream it into a website, and and I don't think that's what Copilot's expecting. I think they're expecting you to sort of share these things with your friends and just make something that's easy or simple for you to do. But it can do some really great stuff. I made a password generator yesterday. I've made a clock thing today so that you can just glance at it and it tells you the time in different time zones around the world. Useful for people like us. Or you can put a time in and it will tell you what the time's going to be in that particular time zone. And again, that was like, I suppose, 8 prompts at the most, and then I've added new features into it every single time. I've not had to go back to it and go, no, this isn't working. You've messed this up. It's just done it.
Do you know when this will become really helpful, things like that? When we eventually get to the point, and of course, you know, I think most of you know, I'm well and truly sort of locked into the Apple ecosystem, right? You know, Mac, iPhone, the rest of it. But when we get to a point where those types of things that you're just creating, you can literally just drop as like a desktop app that you can put at the side in the sidebar and whatever you want it to be. And so like that, what you saying with the time zones, that'd be really handy. But I wouldn't want to just have to keep going into it and doing it. But if we could just have it on the dashboard,
if you had it as a widget of some
as a
description,
widget that you could just pop in there sort of natively, I mean, it would be, you know,
and arguably you can do that, just not necessarily with this, or maybe with this further down the line when it develops the plugin that lets you do that or something. Although it is Microsoft, so it working in a Mac environment, God knows, you know. Although GitHub's pretty good at doing that.
Two times speed to catch up. So what we will do, Tom, is talk slower to give you time. I don't know if that's slow or drunk. Anyway, there we go. Well, when you we do know.
I think we all need to start going out on a Friday night and get a social. Is what I think we need.
This is my social.
My problem is if I started going out on a Friday night, I'd just be doing that on stage in front of people.
Yeah.
So
why go out when you can be here and do it?
Just do it on the internet.
Absolutely. And we all know why Tom tunes in. So by the time he does get caught up, he will want to know the answer to this.
Has George Wiggins given David Kirby his money back yet?
Yes, he has.
Yeah. Amazing.
No,
he hasn't. Don't be ridiculous. Of course he hasn't. And that was
Has George Wiggins given David Kirby his money back yet?
okay. So I had a client earlier in the week, and they're going, I want to do this thing, but I'm just starting out, and I can't get approved for this. And I can't get okay. Let's cheat the system then. Do what do we need to achieve? So the first thing was you need to get approved by this autoresponder for this thing. So I was like, okay, what are they asking for? Well, they want an existing landing page. I'm only just starting this thing, right? Go to AI. Make me a landing page for this domain that has this form on it, and make it look like a proper website without being too specific about what it does. So, Exhibit B. There we go.
Did you do this in Google?
Boom. No, this was Abacus AI.
Oh, okay.
Boom. The first thing it spat out, right, literally, because this doesn't really say anything about what this thing does. With the right form on it, boom, submit, approved. Well, that was easy, wasn't it? And now he's got a landing page. He's reaching out to these other places and trying to get approved to be an affiliate. And I said, well, just don't bullshit them. There's no point in going and pretending you've got a list to predict if you haven't. But now you have got a landing page. So you can say, I'm just starting a business. I've been building this up. You can bluff the subscriber count a bit if you want, but you don't have to lie. You just say you're building it. And this is what you're looking for.
It's always the ones you see in Warrior Plus that say, I got 100,000 buyers list, no sales history.
No sales.
There's a disconnect. There's something not quite right.
Yeah.
No, but it's good. I do the same, not with AI to be fair, but I do the same thing for Stripe. Right? I have a number of different Stripe accounts. I create a business that says we're doing one thing or another to get approved to promote to charge payments.
Yeah.
And then we charge payments for whatever we want to charge payments for. But
technically, I've done the same thing because when I started using Stripe, I was making websites for a living, and now I'm not. So
it's just something that at some point
I can't
end
even
up on the
remember.
radar. They'll look at it and go, okay.
Yeah, I don't know what Business Stripe thinks I do now, because I would have told them the truth, but I set that up so long ago.
Yeah, I told them the truth at the time, but
Yeah.
it's not the time anymore. You know?
Mind you,
Everybody.
the question
changes.
would be, you're making an awful lot of websites for $7, aren't you, Mr. Meller? So I'm just so good.
I don't think you. I think you could quite easily say no. Well, I've got a digital business. It does digital things, and the website's
I
the
think
big
mine
thing.
just,
Which,
if
but
I
nobody's
remember
building
right,
it.
mine just says digital content producer,
Yeah.
which could be anything. Because it's
Yeah.
funny when you say to people when they go, "What do you do?" "Oh, I digital content producer." "Oh, you're on YouTube then?" "No,
No,
not
yeah.
necessarily. I just produce content because I don't
I
produce.
I
anything
always say that I'm a content creator, but it comes with a caveat of the sort of content that you then create.
Yeah.
But then I've worked for companies and done all of these different content creation things. And I mean, this last week I went to see a old client of mine who needs a new website for. They've got a dog walking business, but they would dog boarding as well. And it was a mother and her daughter. Well, the mother and the husband have had to downgrade, so they're in a sort of like a little prefab sort of house now because that's all they wanted to have. They didn't want a big house or anything. She's had to have an operation on her foot because she tore her Achilles tendon, so she's not walking dogs at the moment. Her daughter's had to go in for a hip operation, so she's not walking dogs at the moment. But they wanted to change their whole business to be just about dog walking. So that means making content. That means taking photos. That means doing the website stuff itself. It is all content creation. But then how do you then get that across to somebody when you say, oh, I also make courses and do things like that?
I know. It depends who I'm talking to. And the other thing is I can't describe what I do in a sentence anyway, because it's lots of things. So I can just be fairly liberal with the description. And sometimes I'll just fuck with people.
Do you know what? Though, right? If you think it's difficult in English, imagine me trying to explain to people ask me in Spanish living here, right? What is it you do for a living? And I'm just like, oh, I couldn't even tell you in English. Let's not even bother with it.
You know, I used to have a great one when I was running CrunchNet when it was just web design. My tagline was, I make the internet. And it was just such a nice thing to be able to say to people.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah. What do you do? Oh, I make the internet. It just, yeah.
I know that years ago I was working with these guys, technical directors, programmers, and all this. And we all had this chat about what we say when we go out, because we stopped telling people we work with computers, because if you told somebody that, it was a kiss of death. All you'd get was like blokes called Colin telling you that they've got 640 megabytes of something or the other, and bloody, and all that bullshit. Or they think if you're good with computers, you could help with theirs. And like, I did not want to do free fucking tech support. I did that for a job all day long, you cunt, right? So
yeah.
So we had these things that we would make up, and we also used to challenge each other. We'd go, oh, tonight you will be. And like, so our tech director one night was a dustman. And we did all sorts of ridiculous jobs. I think the most ridiculous was that I was introduced as a pro wrestler. And I just went
at what stage of your life over the past however many years were you the pro wrestler?
When I was a bit larger and presenting male, and it was feasible that I was one of those sort of big fat
sumo wrestlers,
as opposed to a muscular American, that sort of
wrestler.
But yeah, we did all sorts of ridiculous things. It would be just like, all right, you give me a job title and I'll see if I can be it.
There we go. That's what maybe a new plan. I used to tell people that I was a fireman. They're like, oh, you're a fireman. It's like, well, I feel like all I do is put out bloody fires in the business all day, every day. That's really the main role. You wake up in the morning and you go, right, what's on fire today? What problems do we have? What needs to be dealt with? But we're going through it at the minute. So I've going through the joys of having an 11-year-old, almost teenage son. The minute we're going through the
Oh, yeah.
the joys of
Strap
all-
in. There's going to be turbulence.
all of that. I think I know best, and maybe I'm big enough to take you now. Yeah, you're not. You don't.
Have you watched Adolescence on Netflix yet?
The first,
Yeah.
don't spoil it, the first 2 episodes I've watched, but I haven't seen the last 2 yet.
Amazing. It's just
The
amazing.
Butler did
and
it.
you-
The
You're
butler
in-
did it. Was that
you're
in the
in-
conservatory with the candlestick, was it?
It's
The
exactly,
third-
yeah.
I mean, they're all brilliant. The third episode
They
is
are really good.
amazing. Everything about that thing. I'm on my second watch through at the moment, so I've just watched the third episode for this. I'm halfway through the third episode for the second time through. I got a call, so I had to pause it. I was going to try and watch it, but the first time I watched it, I was like, you know what? I'm going to be really good. I'm going to watch 1 episode a night. My daughter laughed her ass off at me, and I went, okay, what's up? You're here, and she goes, I want to watch it again. I said, well, we watched the first one now. This was on Monday night, so we watched the first episode. She went, I said, yeah, I'm going to watch one tomorrow, one the next night. See you later. Bye. She laughed because she knew that was bullshit. I can't leave these things alone. So I texted her a few hours later and went, finished it, and she just laughed her ass off at me. But it was so good, and now I'm going back through it, and just.
I think for me, it was just the opening on the first episode that just captivated me, right? Like, because what happens quite often is that I start a series and stuff like that. And if I just can't get in, I usually wait this is only 4 episodes long, but usually I give it about 2 episodes. And if I can't get into it, I just sort of fuck it off. Go, this just isn't for me, right? But the first episode, just like, with that, when they're, I don't really want to spoil it for anyone else, but when they're sort of going in to pick up the kid, right?
Yeah.
Just had me sat at the edge of the sofa thinking.
It was so good.
And, I just think about it and I go through, God, like, can you just imagine being a parent? It's your worst nightmare, isn't it? The police are knocking down your door and you've got no idea what the hell's going on. And
yeah, absolutely. It's good because it started people having those conversations, which is the whole point of it, I think. And it's really good. And I've got into all that. I was fascinated, so I've gone down all the rabbit hole of how they made it and what happened, and it's
was it all one take? Did I read
every episode?
It's not all one take, but there are some really good long takes in it. So the first episode where they go down, they beat down the door and everything, that's all done in one take up to a point. I think they cut to inside the police station.
No, it's not a cut.
Is it not a cut?
No, this is the amazing thing. It is right.
See, I've only watched it once, but I thought there was a cut in there. But
every episode, from start to finish, is one camera the entire time. Multiple cameramen. It's getting passed off. It's getting the most incredible thing is I can't remember what episode it's in. Want to be careful, but there's just an amazing shot where you go, how the fuck did they do that? Because it clearly the camera's taking off and going up in the air over a building, and you're like, how the fuck? But I've watched how it was done, and it's so clever. And then, so what they did over a period of days, they could do 2 takes a day. And then they had so many 5 takes in total for each episode. One of them, they didn't get it until the very last take. Most of them, one of them, they did more than the 2 takes, but they used the second take. So they were a lot more relaxed. The one that uses the drone shot was the one that they got on the last take. Because what they did, they were like, we want to get a thing in the bag so we know we've got an episode. So if this drone idea doesn't work, we're not fucked.
Uh-huh.
So they did have a solution for an earlier fade out they didn't have to go to. But
was this just done because that was the creative direction, or was it just that Netflix gave them a really stingy budget to do this with?
No, it was the creative direction.
That was just the creative direction. It's not cheap to do that.
Not.
It costs an awful lot of money.
Well, but you think you have to get a take. So one of the takes that got abandoned, one of the actors in doing the chase scene, called out the wrong name. That was it. That was in the last 10, 15 minutes of the episode.
Oh, you'd be pissed, wouldn't you, as the director?
He was. But no. The director was like, so he expected it, but the actor was beating himself up. Because you think you've got all these, and an episode that's got every stunt has to be done in real time live. So the bit where the kid's running across the road and he just gets missed by a motorbike, and everything is coordinated to the fucking second. So clever. But anyway, really interesting. And then if you go and look on YouTube, you can get into how it was made, and there's an interview with the directors, and the people at the Rest Is Entertainment podcast actually got the director and cameraman together, and they interviewed them, and they covered a lot of how it was done. And it's fucking, when you realize how it's actually done, it just makes it even more incredible. And that's what I like about it. So, but that's nothing to do with marketing. So,
but I think I'm right in saying that it's worldwide sort of number one. I think on Netflix.
Number one on it's beat Squid Game. It's beat everything. It's number one in America. It's number one here. It's just gone crazy, and I'm not surprised. The acting in it is phenomenal. Everything about it is. And now, and what I like is that people are trying to pick it apart, and the people looking at it, there's a clinical psychologist did the thing, and I was watching it earlier, and she was going, this is exactly what we're trained to do. That's why she why she seems cold at this point. We're trained to do that because of this. She goes, they have really checked this shit out. And that was what made it so good. They got the realism as close as they could to what would happen in real life.
Andrew Tate got a mention by name, didn't he?
Yeah, he gets name checked, and quite rightly so, I think. But what's he going to do? Sue him? He can't. It's the truth.
Well, he's being sued himself in America now. I read that someone's accused him of inappropriate behaviour in the USA. He's only been there 2 weeks.
Well, there you go. He just doesn't wait. Why is it these people? They just don't wait to shit long in their own backyard, do they? So. Sure, we'll see Tommy and John Armstrong doing the same very soon.
Well, you missed out two key characters on that as well, because there's four of them, isn't there, now on that launch? I think.
So I know Paul and Marie Roberts is JV manager, or I'm guessing, or some shit. And then who's the other one involved?
Ryan Phillips.
Oh yeah, Ryan Phillips, the surprise fucking wild card. I can't believe he's teamed up with. I don't know, but there you go. Anyway,
you've got your emails ready to go?
Of course, yeah. No, I'm not even going to mention it because it's shit. And anyone that does get taken for it gets what they deserve. If you haven't learned, there's enough history out there to know that giving your money to John Armstrong and Tommy is not a good idea. There's so much history out there. Go Google it. Go look up the names. Go check it out. Decide to do your own due diligence, as you should with everything, and you'll be okay. If you don't and you buy that shit, you will get burnt, and you will deserve every bit of the burning. Learn from that and take that as the value of what you got out of it, because that will be the only value you do get.
Just remember, though, you can't refund, otherwise you are taking money out of an Indonesian's mouth.
Yes.
Food.
Indonesia, literally, he's one of the ones that we got working in a bunker, replying to stuff, pretending it's AI. No one would do that, would they? Anyway,
I don't think so.
It'd be ridiculous for that to happen, wouldn't it? So
unbelievable, almost.
Yeah, but obviously, we're not saying that ever did or would happen or could, because it's clearly so ridiculous. It could never happen.
Fiction. Be fictional.
It would.
How's your week been anyway, Steve? Productive?
It's been 1 week. It's not really. Actually, I've not done very much.
Thanks for that. It's been thank you there. Yes, it's been 1 week. And now moving on to the
I've been playing around with stuff, but not anything much business wise. I've put out Andy's thing, which has got a couple of sales in.
Yeah,
but it's a high price point. Oh, and one person did the split payment, so
yeah,
okay, that's great. I'm just not feeling the need to do an awful lot at the moment because for the first time in quite a while, I've got enough money. You know, so I'm quite enjoying not doing stuff, and I'm going out several times next week. We're going to see a falconry thing next Saturday. We're probably going to go to a wildlife park or something to take photos, and so I'm just kind of enjoying not having to do anything. I've got ideas for a next project, and that'll happen probably sooner rather than later. It's probably going to be email based, about using AI to run an email list, and because I think the one thing that we don't teach people really is how to run an email list. There's loads of courses out there that you'll be able to build a list of X amount of thousand people.
Yeah,
then
like,
what do you
build
do
a
with
list and mail it. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. How? Or people who aren't confident with writing emails. So
Yeah.
I want to have prompts that will let people write those emails and give them a really solid way to not necessarily build the list, but once you've got a list, to keep it going and to not lose too many people from it, and to keep that interest up so that it's not you don't burn out too quickly.
And that was an interesting thing I thought from last week. I know we had Hugh on.
Yeah.
And I was so I left that call and I was thinking, well, maybe I'm not emailing enough. I don't know. And then, or maybe I'm, I mean, I do remember being told by some gurus that, you should be, emailing your list every day. The more you email, the more you make and all this sort of stuff. But I also just think that there's a very fine line between respecting your audience and taking the piss.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. It's like last week when we were here, someone was on, said something about along the lines of, if your business should be all about making money, you would, is it about this or is it about making money? And to a lot of people, the answer is making money. But the truth is, to me, it's not. It's both. It's you can actually
I think the difference is a shift between mindset.
Yeah.
I think your business should be all about making money. Your service should be all about helping people.
Right.
And that's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So it's, but that's like...
What do you email, Andy? Like, how often do you have a set email routine?
No, well, yes and no, but it doesn't look like it. Okay. So let's take what I do with my IM broadcast list. That's people that have been in, bought stuff. They're not going through automated funnels now. So with them, I'm just very real. It's like if something catches my eye, I mail them. If there's nothing worth telling them about, I don't. But I do have a cut-off point of so many days, and I'm like, okay, I do need to be in the inbox. So, but I will then just send them a content piece. I will just send them a reminder that I've posted a few things on Medium recently, and they might want to go check them out. And that's all value content with small, soft sell call to action. So, but then when I have got something, so like when the Clarity Code launched, I mailed every day that week.
Yeah.
Now I'm on a cooldown. I won't mail because I'm delivering the Clarity Code to people that got, but I will send an occasional email that will still say it's not too late to join. But the hard push is over. I respect it. I gave you the opportunity. If you didn't buy it, I'll still give you another little gentle reminder here and there. I think at this point it's almost disrespectful to keep going. Why haven't you fucking bought this, you cunt? Why haven't you? That's how it's like this entitlement. I only want you to buy it if it's going to be of use to you. That's the truth. So, but I've got to put it as a marketer. It's my job to put it in front of you a certain amount of times, and so it's just trying to find the balance and the answer. And I try and make my mail list, and I think this is why I get good deliverability and good engagement. Is because the frequency isn't every Wednesday, every day at this time they get a mail from me. So it doesn't look automatic. I'm also quite careful. I don't do that thing where I put the link multiple times in an email. I wouldn't write to a normal human being like that. I don't write to my dad and go, "Oh, Dad, I was looking on Amazon and I spotted this great thing, and here's a link. The reason I thought you might like it is da-da-da-da-da, and in case you've forgotten, here's the link again." And then I've ordered one, and it's one of the best things I've ever bought. Talk to you later. P.S. In case you've forgotten, here's the link again. I mean, it's like you're treating these people like they got Alzheimer's, right? You don't do it. And that's also what algorithms spot. The same link more than once, instant flag for that's promotional. So I don't do it. But do I ever put a PS back to the same thing? Yes. But that second link is not the same as the first link. So it's different shortened URL. I've given 2 different links in that email. That's normal. I write emails to people with more than one link in them. So
but they both go back to the same place.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Because what I've been doing, I don't know whether or not you want to. Do we want to cut this, or do we?
I don't mind telling people some of what I do, but it's like
I don't mind either. But I just.
But
anyway.
We are getting your time. Go on then. We'll drop a nugget before we leave everybody.
So all I was going to. So what I've been doing recently is I've just added in. So in the bottom of my emails, I'll just show. Oh, hang on, I'm fucking drunk. So I've just added in PS, ready to start seeing reels at Agilebration Online. Check out the Ignite community here, right? That on the bottom. So this is this is something else. This was a product that I'm promoting, right?
Yeah.
And then at the bottom, so that goes somewhere else. But then at the bottom, there's that. I've already had from doing that another 3 people now that have joined into paying me monthly. And I didn't do anything for it. They're paying me $17 a month. And that's I'd rather have $17 a month off that for me as opposed to $17 one time in an affiliate commission and they were away. And now I've shared the link, right? So I've just dropped that in at the bottom. And I think when people just see it all the time, they go, "Oh, I should. What is this all about?" And so they click it. Obviously, then my sales page does the rest of the work, and they decide to join. So that's been interesting to see. And of course, at the minute, we're still on quite small numbers in terms of the list. But if we get up to several thousand engaged people, and I'm doing that on every, can I get an extra $4,000-$5,000 a month out of that?
I think, I've learned, look at people as well, like Seth Godin. That's a good example. Get on Seth Godin's list, right? What you get from Seth is some really good emails that are all good ideas and whatever else. And at the bottom of his email, it's always something to the effect of PS, this is something I dug into a lot deeper in my book, link. And it normally, when he's got a new book out, every email will only have the link to the new book, every single one. But you get these emails and they come in and they're quite useful and that you feel you're being educated. No, you don't mind the thing. And I'm sure loads of people click through and end up buying the book or signing up for something else.
I'm definitely quite interested in that whole, I've been sort of looking at recently, the whole book free plus shipping type offer to bring people into the business. I've been looking into that. And of course now I mentioned it. I'm sure we mentioned it publicly, Steve, but I'm sure you don't mind if we don't. But I sort of said, I never realized that Steve was like a ghostwriter and he's wrote stuff before. And I was like, okay, well, that's a great contact because I'd rather have a ghostwriter than AI, right? Like we're not sure. We're not there yet. So I'm like, okay, so that bit could be taken care of. And then what does that look like? And where do we send those people? And how would so it may well be that I'll end up doing something similar once we've got that in place, kind of a free plus shipping. And of course, the shipping's like $10 and it costs you $3. So there is a little bit of profit on there if it's US, US buyers, but just covers the cost of printing the book,
Yeah. If I was going to do a free plus shipping offer, I'd definitely use one of the print-on-demand services that handles everything.
I think it's called Luma or something like that.
Lulu Press.
Lulu.
I've used them for years, not in the IM niche. I don't put out anything of mine. I was going to do one of my books printed and I uploaded it, but there were some formatting issues. So I ended up just not bothering. But in other niches, So I've got a book out, 2 or 3 books out in the community of magicians, magic trick, conjuring tricks. So I've got a couple of books I've written. One was a collaboration, and those are they're done with Lulu Press. And honestly, I mean, I've just left the website up for historic reasons, and still every year sell a few more copies of these books. And so, and they also appear on Amazon and other things, but they're very specialist interest. So normally it's only when a little bit of someone's asking about something and someone goes, I remember reading in that book there was a routine like that, and they go, oh, and then they go and hunt it out and buy it. So it's a really small market and everything else, and not one I have the time or inclination to want to pursue anymore. So, but that is all automated, and that's Lulu Press. So they come in. That's not a free plus shipping. That's just a buy the book. But yeah. So,
do you know what that costs? Like to print and ship? Do you know what their cost is?
I don't remember, because all I know is you set your selling price. It tells you in there what you set your selling price. So I've got some books in there that sell as cheap as £8 a copy sterling, and I probably get, I don't know, £4 or £5 of that when I sell one. And then I've got
the shipping, three quid to print and ship. That's quite cheap, isn't it?
For the little tiny booklet.
Yeah, that's not too bad actually. That's not
sounds almost
too disproportionate.
The bigger books, well, I tell you what, they've been around a long time and they work. The big, but I don't know what the numbers are, because all I cared about in the end was I want to leave this thing up. I want it automated. I'm happy making at least £10 a copy, for example, and I'm making more than that because they're specialist interest books. So some of them, it's like one of them. Let me see, is that it? Here we go.
But I tell you what, if you said to somebody on a sales page, all you pay for is the cost of printing and shipping, and it's $9.99. Nobody bat an eyelid about that.
Yeah,
because they know.
I see them all the time. 3 plus shipping. It's usually $10 to ship it out. Now,
yes,
for international, sometimes it can be a few quid more. But a US printed book in the US shipped to a US address does not cost $10.
Well, the thing to look into isn't necessarily stuff like Lulu. I mean, Lulu's great, and a lot of the other ones are great as well. But there are printers now that will print and ship locally, and it really keeps the costs down. But finding the right ones are going to be a problem. But they're out there,
It's going to be really 2, isn't it? It's going to be USA, which will cover Canada easy enough, and UK.
Yeah.
I don't have that many buyers in Australia and New Zealand. I don't.
No, but what if you find a thing that can do it? You can then say, well, look, it doesn't matter where they come from. That's the.
This is Lulu Press.
Yeah.
And
Lulu is very good, and they've been going for a long time.
Colour as well as black and white, I guess.
I think they do. I never bothered with this because the original, when we sold it, it was a print magazine that we did 4 issues of over a year. It was quarterly. And then we decided, we put out the 5th issue, we gave that to everyone that had supported and subscribed us, and then said we weren't taking subscriptions for another year. We decided to knock it on the head. But what we did with the content afterwards, I was like, well, let's not waste it. So we put it into a book, and that has the 4 issues and the bonus content from the 5th, and stuck it on Lulu Press. And I can't remember what we priced it at. It's like 30 or 40 US dollars, something like that. Sell a couple of copies a year, probably, but every time I do, it's automatically done, dusted. It makes more money than it cost me to have the website up for it.
Yeah.
Oh, it just sits there now. It's not something I actively promote or want to promote. It's just a historical thing. But Lulu Press works very, very well. Here comes Mr. Richie Nolan. Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Okay,
We're on YouTube, just so you know, but that isn't going to be the case for long.
Okay.
Because,
All right, Eddie.
Yeah.
Hi. How you doing, man? Nice to see you.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.